struggle streaming already. This thing got a lag in there for some reason. Now you want to start talking? Be quiet, y'all. We're not even trying to. Y'all just on one today. We're not even going to use this thing. We're just going to keep the show going. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. I only want to do this for an hour, and I'm pretty sure you guys are probably wondering what the heck was this thing about. And no, we're not talking about diseases tonight, but it's something that I just recently came up with, and my post that I left last week was alluding to it, and we'll get to that later. I hope everybody's doing okay. Let me know you can hear me. I usually do that. I usually say throw up some ones. Throw some ones if you can hear me. I just want to see one person type in one, and then we'll get the show going. If I can see you type in one. Welcome back. We missed you last week. Yeah, I had a lot of things going on last week, and plus I posted some content on what's that, Instagram? So if you take a little gander over there to Instagram, you'll see that I've already started my series where I play some of my favorite songs that I recorded. And I started one last week with No Condemnation. And this week I'll be posting something. I'm going to post more, but I can only post as time, allows me. This time allows me. Satina calls, hey, so glad I caught you this week. Hey, how you doing? So we're going to have some fun tonight, man. And yeah, this almost made Preachers Gone Wild. We're going to get the show started. This almost made Preachers Gone Wild, but I've seen so many musicians do this, what I'm about to show you. And I want to know why you guys do this. And I've seen it almost to this degree. This is probably the worst. Why do y'all put y'all mouths, pause, on these mics like that? Why do y'all do that? I never really understood the concept of putting your whole mouth on the mics. This is mine. I bought this mic. I'm the only one that uses it. So I'm the only one that uses this mic. I'm the only one that uses this mic right here. But even still, you don't see my mouth hovering and guzzling over this microphone. But I've seen when you guys at church and some of you musicians, I've literally seen you with your mouth and stuff all on that mic, and you hold it. That's all pausable. That's some pausable stuff. Why are you holding the mic like that? Whew. And I know you don't do it on purpose, but good Lord, you come in choosing violence. See, even that's a pause. That's my tribe, bro. Okay, great. Well, his mouth don't need to be on that mic like that. We don't do that. That's possible. But speaking of mics and mouths, something else that's been happening. I don't know if you guys follow politics or follow the news. But years ago, and believe it or not, this goes back all the way to the early 2000s. This gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2007 for for trafficking young minors, right? So something happened. He didn't go to jail for it, whatever. But years later, probably like a decade later, he was arrested again. And this time he didn't make it on the outside, even before his court case, right? So everybody's been wondering about this special list that he's had, this special list. And one person in particular was on that list as our current president, who claims I wasn't really friends with him. We guys, we're just friends. I don't really know about him. I look into it. He got the accordion going on. So he makes up these stories, right? So everybody wanted these files released. Most of these people, now that I think about it, wanted it released because they had heard the 44th president was on there. So when they heard Barack Obama was on there, which wasn't true, now everybody wants these files released. So this current president said, I will release these files, right? Or maybe not. So this is what he actually said.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Yeah. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Bruh. I wish this was going, because I promise you I would definitely be. It's going to be late, but it
Get the out of here. I tell you what's up.
It is definitely that. Get the heck out of here, bruh. We don't believe you at this point. None of us believe, we don't believe that he was going to ever release that file, because I showed you the picture, him here. Now, everybody says the files exist, this client list that everybody's talking about. And his current AG said, oh, yes, the files are on my desk, and we will be releasing those once we look at them and make sure, yeah. Now they're saying there are no files. There is no client list. Like he did everything on his own. Oh, him and his girlfriend, who's serving time right now, who, by the way, wants to testify right in front of Congress. It will never happen. It will never happen. But she wants to testify in front of Congress. Here's my thing. Do people really believe that we are really that stupid? Like, do they really believe we're really that stupid? I really believe that, and I've always thought this, by the way, whether you're on the right or you're on the left, I've always thought that these people think we are the dumbest. I'm just saying. And so I'm just looking at this, something happened here. So I'm like, one of three things. And one of these things is true. Either the list really does not exist and they was just saying we're going to release something just to get you people to vote for them. Or two, there really is a list and people are on there that he's trying to protect and cover up. Or three, it is a list and he's on that list. My guess, if I had to guess right now, it's three. And here's my thing. And I'm going to tick some people off before I go to Preachers Gone Wild. But it's only two types of Trump supporters. Those people who are incredibly rich and those people who are incredibly stupid. You couldn't pay me to be a Trump supporter at this point. You couldn't pay me. I absolutely could not never be a Trump supporter. Move this light over. There we go. That's better. Anybody that organized anything knows there's a list. Of course there is a list. I mean, like, if you have, I don't think people really understand. He was one of the largest child traffickers in the world. And you mean to tell me we talking thousands, hundreds at least, at the bare minimum, hundreds, maybe close to 1,000 young children that he has trafficked to be done up. And the only person that benefited from all of this was just him for his own pleasure? There was no list, there were nobody else? Then please explain to me why Prince Andrew settled out of court. Why not just go to court? He settled out of court when one of the people who was involved, one of the young ladies, decided to sue, press charges. I've seen it with my own eyes, the court documents, what she said was done to her. We all know this is they just trying to cover it up. That's all it is. And like I said, he's treating his supporters like they are just blazing, spectacularly stupid people. And every day they show me that they are. Like legit. Like legit. What up, Josiah? So let's get this going. Y'all wondering, Preachers Gone Wild, we're going to get to the musician thing. I know some of you are here or you're going to share it and everything else. I just want to give my own opinion about this because it's a thing. It really is a thing. And I think me addressing it probably would help some of you understand where we are coming from when we say the paying dues thing. But before we get started, one of our musicians just came on board. I really like him. His name is Jeremiah. His father preaches at 8 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes our 8 o'clock service at Powerhouse. And boy, he does the same thing to me like he just did to this young lady in this video.
Clap our hands as they come in that order. Oh! Glory to God! Come on, give God praise up in here. Father, we love you. We thank you right now.
Did y'all see what happened? I think I'm going to play that one more time. Pay attention to the young lady in white. Pay attention to her.
Clap our hands as they come in that order.
What up, Beyonce?
Oh! Glory to God! Come on, give God praise up in here.
You got to warn somebody before you do that in church nowadays. Like, Bishop does that too. Like, we literally sitting there and then, that's scaring us. Calm down. We can't do that. You can't make us nervous. That's his daughter. Oh, okay, cool. Well, she got scared. That was the craziest thing in the world. But he does it to me, and I'm not his son. So pause. Ooh, Jesus, super duper pause. God.
Pause. That was pause.
Yeah, that was pause. Super duper pause. Wow. Okay. But anyway, you can't scare people like that. You just can't. I know, and that makes it worse because if that's your dad, you know what he's gonna do. You know what he's gonna do. But for me, and I love dude. He cool in the mug. But he always scared me with that. Wow. Like, and it be, listen, yeah, it gets there. And that junk is funny. But check this out. When I was younger, they don't do it much. I haven't seen it in my adult years, but when I was younger, people would march in. Y'all know what marching in, the choir marching in, they start from the back, and we used to march into, Lord, I want to be holy, holy, holy. We marched into that, right? I haven't seen anybody march in like that in a long time. I'm sure some churches do it, but I haven't seen it until today. And then I saw this, and it was crazy the way he's going to march in. Why did he turn that corner like that? Like, see, when I was younger, that would have got me swooped up. Yeah, the moms would have definitely did some things to me, and I just shudder to think what would have happened once we got to the back. Whew. Them belts hurt, y'all. And my mama, I promise you, I believe if she could, she'd get one of those Michael Jackson Beat It belts, you know, the ones with the spikes up in there, and that make sure I never forget to act like that. Don't ever do it again. This one of those, I'ma beat you till times get better. I really believe my mom tried to do that. And that's a long beating because times ain't better right now. So if she was to beat me till times got better, that means she was gonna still be whooping me some 10, 20 years later. That's a choir anniversary march in. It is. My mom would have beat me. My cousin's on here. He knows. My mom would have whooped me to time. Oh God. I would never do that. I would never ever do that. When I marched in like for real, because I was scared that my life might end. Dude behind it was like, I ain't doing that. He shouldn't have. But see, you know, my cousin's mom, my aunt, was a great choir director. She's probably one of the best I've ever worked with. And I've worked with, obviously, some of the best ever. But his mom was really, really good at choir directing. But I've never, ever seen her do this.
What is blessing me? Come on! Come on! Blessing me! Yeah. Blessing me! Right now! Right now!
This is why I really believe some people are against cameras in church. Because the world didn't need to see you scream saying, watch me! Oh, if that would have ever happened where I play at now, that Monday meeting would have been lit. TJ better not ever do that because he already knows he would never do that. I don't think. Don't get any ideas though, TJ. But Lord, bruh. Bruh, now what do y'all think of that? Like, if your choir director yelled at you like that in the mic and it was long, watch me. Would that have been your last day in the choir? It would have been mine. If I'm playing on bass and somebody yells at me like that in the mic, both bass players know this. I turn it all the way up and just go. Wah. Now, what happens when you do that on bass? Well, I'll tell you. If it's too loud, you go, wah, that mud's gonna go, and the whole world will notice that thing rumble like that. I don't know if all bass players know it, but I'm pretty sure most church bass players know that. If you turn it all the way up and just strum it and just hold it, don't even play a note, just let it ring. It's gonna go, especially if it's an amp there. I would have definitely did that because I think that's out of order. But I guess her 5 choir members, they were okay with it. Let me see. Somebody yelled at my brother in the mic, and he went and turned. Whoa! He went and turned the sound system off while Buddy was still. Oh, your brother is the MVP. I'm a keyboard player, and I would crash out. I know most people would. She was already mad while directing. I wonder why. That's her husband's job to make sure she come to church happy. But that's another live. Let's see what you say. You never had the MD crash out in the talk back. I've heard some amazingly I've heard times where things have gone left and neither one were the MD. I've heard that before. Yeah, but none of them ever went at me that way because that would be bad, and I'm not saying I would fight. I don't fight in church. I try to honor the house, but I definitely, yeah, they would have known that we ain't doing that over here. But most of us, we are respectful to each other. Okay, now check this out. I want y'all to see something because one thing I like that most keyboard players now have perfect pitch because you're going to run into some situations where that perfect pitch is going to save you in a pinch. But what if you got perfect pitch and the person gave you the key, but then sang in a relative of the key that they just gave you? Confused in what I'm saying? Check this out.
Go down one key, have a step back. One more step, one more. Just another day. That the Lord, that kind of lady has kept me.
Real quick, has that ever happened to you? Where they gave you a key, then they start singing. He was in the key, but he was in the, I think they call it relative. Like he wasn't in that key. He was in a totally another key, but it was in that scale, in that scale of that key, if that makes sense. But dude, what are we doing here? Like you are supposed to just another day, give him that key. That's what you're supposed to do. See, I think the problem is musicians, we get blamed for stuff that's not our fault. A lot of times singers don't know what we know. They don't know any theory at all. They just know, oh, you say you gave me the wrong note. No, you sang the wrong note, bro. You gave me a note. I went to the note. And no matter how good you are with perfect pitch, I think Raekwon has perfect pitch, Reza has perfect pitch, Dio has perfect pitch. All these musicians that have perfect pitch, even they wouldn't have been able to figure out where this dude was going. Now, I'm sure they quickly would have adjusted once he started singing, but this dude gave him the key, he played the key, and then you sang in a totally different key. You're not supposed to do that. And I think a lot, like I said, we always get the blame. Musicians, church musicians, don't we always get the blame? When things go wrong, we get the blame. When they sing in the wrong key, we get the blame. If the song's too fast, we get the blame. If the song was so slow, we get the blame. It doesn't matter what. It seems like we get the blame. When service ain't high, the musicians did it. I'm not saying this is every church, but I grew up hearing this a lot. Believe it or not, the musicians, we get the blame for everything. But this proves that it's not his fault. Or do you think it was his fault? Do you think it was his fault? Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, put me in the key of A flat, singing in Z sharp. Right. We always get the blame. Always. Always. Nah, that's just bad as them calling out a song by the wrong title and then look confused when it ain't the intro. What song is that people do that a lot? It's one song that people do a lot that always, the title of the song is not what they normally sing. I can't remember, but it's always like that. They give you a song, you start playing it. Oh man, we just did this. It just happened. Because Russell played a different song. They was like, no, not that song. And it's not called that song. I can't remember what that song was, but it just happened. He was in U. Wait, you said in U flat major. What? What? What is U flat major? But we do always get the blame. We do, y'all. But anyway, when I was younger, as a musician, I always wanted to play drums. I did. Y'all don't know this, and I'm telling you, I started on drums. I started on drums just like the whole laundry list of drummers at any traditional Kojic church. That's the instrument that all of us want to play. Legit. And I remember so many times my mom didn't buy us drumsticks. I mean, she did, but she didn't, if that makes sense. Like, drumsticks break. So we had to play on the same thing. Y'all growing up in these churches, y'all know you playing with the little nubs or you playing with whatever. But one drumstick of choice, when you have sticks, you know how you send your clothes to the cleaners and they send it back with that wire hanger with that little thing at the bottom, that little, paper made thing? We used to take those things off, break them in half, or take two of them and use those as sticks. We used to do that when I was coming up, right? So I've seen some weird things being used as sticks. And I know some people do use hangers, but I've never seen anything like this. Did y'all see that? I'm gonna play it again because it was a short video. You cannot make this shift up. He literally was playing with the plastic Walmart hangers, y'all. That's what that was. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? Where you literally are playing with Walmart hangers. See, when I was coming up, this is what we did. We made do. Like when the drumstick, when the kick drum used to break, we would actually take hangers. We were so intuitive. We would take hangers and jimmy that mug just right where the kick would still work. And y'all know them kick drums back in the day before they started making Iron Cobras and DW 5000s or whatever. Before they started doing that, you had those old little pearl kick drums that always break and you always had to fix it. That was our fix. We always found ways to do stuff when we needed to do it. We'd play, like I used to play bass, and when my string would break, I'd take a whole lot of thread and I'd try to fix that mug. It sounded crazy in the mug, but it worked. It worked because that's what we had to do. But this is just, we always this intuitive. We can think of a way to fix our issues. But see, a lot of that came from the fact that a lot of us weren't real drummers. We weren't real drummers. We had to start from somewhere. And this brings me to a conversation that I was having with some musicians yesterday. It was me, Rob Woolrich, and a couple of others. We were having a conversation. And this video brought me back to my memories. It brought me back to when I first started being a musician. I've always loved church, and I've always wanted to be a musician in church. But I started as a drummer. But when I became a bass player and I started my humble beginnings and I started learning and getting better, I started playing quartet, believe it or not. But it wasn't this quartet now. I wasn't doing that. It was do, 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 do. That real dry, we fishing with flies kind of quartet music. You know, that deep down south bayou alligator eating quartet, right? Just real dry. That's what I started. But I had to progress. And I learned how to play gospel music. And then from there came this period of time where I had to build myself up as a musician and as a professional. And I had to, watch this, prove myself before others would take a chance on me. We called that paying dues, that growing process where nobody knew you, nobody cared to know you, but over time you built up a nice reputation by connecting with the right people and doing the right things and conducting yourself in a way that people would take notice. That's what paying dues was. So it was a discussion about what's paying dues. And we're going to talk about that very shortly before I jump off of here. And it started from this post that Rob left. And he said, had an interesting convo earlier with a few musician homies today. I was one of those homies. And he said, what do you consider paying your dues as a musician? Creative, anything. What does the term pay your dues consist of to you? And I'm asking you that question. And I'm going to make this a little smaller, because I don't want to move this off the screen. I want people, when they come in, to see what we're talking about, if you can still read that. Hopefully it's not too small where you can read it. So, and I want to know, what do you consider as a musician? That's what I'm talking about now, particularly in the church. What do you consider paying dues? A lot of people have ideas about what paying dues is, and unfortunately, some of that is not good. It's not good. Some people have a bad idea of what it is. I saw a post today, and a guy that I know plays bass. He actually says, I'll bring this back. He says, musicians, artists, I don't know about y'all, but I'm 150 the blank out, right? When I was coming up, some people would consider me playing these gigs for little or nothing, paying my dues. I don't really think that would necessarily be paying dues, because somebody taking advantage of you is just simply them taking advantage of you. That's not paying dues when somebody's paying you considerably less than what they would pay somebody else to do the exact same job. That's not paying dues. That's them taking advantage of you. So we need to differentiate between the two. Paying dues is you actually building yourself. It's like nothing in life comes easy, pause, and everything you get out of this life you have to work for. I didn't get my degrees by just showing up to Penn State and saying, oh, yeah, my first day of school, give me my degree. It doesn't work like that. I had to show that I am worthy of getting a degree from one of the best institutions in the country. Of course, I'm going to say that. And even when I got my master's, it's the same thing. You have to work towards these things. Nobody should be given success. That's when they mean you are rewarded. You are awarded success, but not rewarded. Reward means you did the work. And a lot of times what's happened is we have a generation of young men and women and the musicians as far as church, gospel, that want to catapult what the OGs thought that they should go through. I looked at it as it made me a better musician. It made me a better professional. It made me prepared for the world that I walked into. If you notice, you ain't seen me I ain't in scandals. People, when they hire me, they be like, dude shows up. He learns the songs. He's in uniform. He doesn't give a hard time. This is things that people can use. So when somebody else calls, they be like, oh no, we can vouch for him because he has the name and reputation. But I had to build that up. I had to pay my dues to get to that point. We cannot circumvent this growing process, because when you circumvent something, then we can't even be guaranteed that your success will be sustainable, because you didn't learn the valuable tidbits on that growth process. You wanted to forego that so you can jump right into something that you're not ready for. And I think that's what's happening. Because if you circumvent the paying your dues phase, then you just didn't earn where you think you should go. I'm not necessarily talking about tours, and I don't know what the obsession is with that, because I just had a talk with the business today about this, and I'm not going to go into depth, but yeah, it ain't all that. But I'm talking about as far as you being a professional and making a legacy for yourself and building a name for yourself that's sustainable over time. That takes work, and that's the paying dues part for me. For me. So I don't understand. So the problem I'm having is I don't want the generation under me to mistake when we say paying dues. I don't want it to be a negative thing, and it should not be a negative thing. It's only negative because a lot of people don't want to wait. You want that microwavable success because you've been good since you was young. But make no mistake about it, a lot of us been good since we were young. I was a killer bass player at 15. Me and Tony Russell, and he can vouch for this. This when I first met him, I was 15 years old, and I saw him and he saw me. We both was killers. But I don't know about him, but I was still in that paying dues part because when I saw him, I was elevated to now playing for the quote-unquote state choir of Indiana, second jurisdiction, Church of God in Christ. But I had to build to that point. And I have never looked at that and said it was negative. The times where people took advantage of me is because they just did. I allowed them to, or I didn't have anybody older than me and say, no, that's not the way to go. Because I would tell you that's not the way to go. If they say that's what paying dues is, then I need to check their credibility because we don't do that over here. We don't do that. If I hire you for a gig, at the minimum, I'm going to pay you what I would pay somebody else or what you negotiated. That's another part of it is. Because here's the thing. By paying dues or working your way up, you learn things that's valuable to you later on, like how to negotiate. How to negotiate so you don't get taken care of. Walking away from some opportunities. In this business, when you get to a certain point, you turn down more opportunities than you even can imagine because every opportunity ain't a good one and it may not fit where you're trying to go. So, having said that, don't look at paying dues as being negative. It's not negative. It should be, I cherished my growth. I cherished the growing process. It made me a better professional. It made me a better man. It made me be the Derek Hearne that y'all, I don't think I would have made it to even play a recording had I not went through that growth process and I catapulted or leapfrogged all of that I learned over those years. When I was presented with the opportunity that I wanted, I would have squandered it because a lot of the stuff that I saw being manifested in that moment, I learned in the paying dues process. So I was able to spot it, I was able to maneuver, and I was able to remain professional while doing it. Yeah, so don't look at it as negative. I think another thing is, no offense, maybe you need to find better people to connect to. Because everybody that tells you you're great they don't necessarily want you to do better than them. They don't want you to do good at all. They tell you you're great when you're really not great, or maybe you are great, but everything else you do is toxic that will minimize your greatness. They don't tell you the truth. So another thing is don't surround yourself with like-minded people. You need people in your corner that's going to tell you when your blank stink. That's going to tell you, no, that's not the way you do it. And that's another thing that we don't really talk about, like these circles of people that we hang around. My wife talks about it all the time, these circle of musicians that are all toxic. She don't put out, she don't go at people, but it is a circle. We all know these circles. Don't act like you don't. It's some circles of musicians that you know are toxic, but they all aim together. And they like crabs in a barrel. They don't want anybody in that crew to go higher than them. So as you grow, either you're going to pull me up or I'm going to pull you back down. And the bad part about it is that mess that they carry, all that baggage that they carry, the weight is too heavy for you to pull up. So the only thing is while you holding on their hand, you're sliding back down to the barrel with them. Sometimes it's better to let it go and make them find their own way to climb up. And then when they get to a certain level where they can do it on their own, now I'm here to help you. You have to prove yourself. Oh, wait, that means paying dues. It's really that simple. I'm reading some of your comments. You think I've been playing bass since the womb? Actually, no, I've been playing since I was 12 years old. I've been playing since I was 12 years old. And I had to learn. There's a lot of things I learned, and not just bass. I learned. I went through. Let me tell you another growing pain. I never told this story, I don't think, on here. Max Frank hired me to do a jingle downtown Chicago. I'll never forget this. At that moment, I was still, in my growing process. Max Frank had taken me under his wing. He showed me a lot of things. Those of you who don't know Max Frank, he was a musician. He played for Commission, Fred Hammond, and all of them. He was on a few of their records. He was one of the producers, actually. But at this time, he was doing jingles. And I went, and my dumb self thought I could get away with showing up without new strings. The man clearly told me new strings because I was doing jingles. Well, I had a really, really bad experience putting new strings on my bass because I didn't know how to break them in like that even then. Yeah, y'all remember the story I told you last week? And even though I learned how to break them in, I was still kind of nervous about doing it. And it's crazy, this happened kind of shortly after that. This man, in front of everybody, chewed me out and sent me back to Indiana to get strings. Sent me back to Indiana to get strings. If I was in a different position, I would have been like, nah, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it, nah. But the person in me, I went all the way back to Indiana, got some strings. I didn't know about the store on Burnham. And I don't even know anything about Guitar Center back then. And I didn't know nothing about Chicago. Y'all remember, I was a young country boy from Indiana. I didn't know about Chicago. I knew about the store that I would buy strings from, Rubino's in Maryville. But that was a growing process for me. And I used that. And it helped me to understand. Now I don't show up. Those of you who see me record or been around my recordings, I put new strings on all the time. And I'm breaking that bass in, holding that thing up, pause, but breaking the strings in. But these are learning, growing processes. And the definition of paying dues is really not what you think. The definition of paying dues, it means to go through the hard, often, I don't know this word. I can read, but I'm not going to read that word. Work of experiences necessary to gain respect, credibility, or success in the field. I can say the word, I just don't want to get tongue-tied. It implies earning your place through time, effort, sacrifice, and persistence. This is what paying dues. In music, gigging at small venues for little pay before getting major shows. Now understand, this is not somebody pimping you. This means you building something. There are some gigs that you are going to play when you are growing that's not going to be $500 a rip. Some of us can charge that. Rob can charge $500 a rip. He's a beast. Derek can probably charge you what I charge you because I got reputation, I got experience, and my name is out here. But you coming in can't charge our prices. So you shouldn't be charging what we charge if you only been playing 2 years and you only know quite, little songs, but they hired you for the gig based off of what you can do. You negotiated this price, but you gonna build to what we can charge, right? At a job, it goes through all this other things, right? It's the process of growing, y'all. And I don't want my younger musicians to think that we just pick on you, be like, you ain't paid no dues. You haven't. You haven't done enough work, body of work, to come in with this level of bravado that some of you give, which brings me to this point. I left a post last week, and it kind of, wow, I didn't think that many people was going to comment. I didn't think this many people was going to like it. I didn't think it was going to get shared. And I said, too many musicians suffer from validation dependency. Validation dependency. This is a crazy phenomenon in church. I've seen it at conventions galore. What is validation dependency? In layman's terms, you do anything for people to give you praise, and you need that dopamine hit like you need anything else. Like more than food, more than water, more than anything. Your woman can't even get that kind of satisfaction from you because you desire and you long for the validation from musicians that probably don't even like you like that. Man, you dope. Oh, you cold. Oh my God, you bad. Oh, you live for that. You do anything to get it. I know some of you musicians actually go out here and play gigs for free. You do gigs for free, not for the money that everybody else in the band made, but just so people can see you. That's VD. So today I'm gonna help you be VD free. I got this shirt. I'm gonna get this shirt made, so don't even try to jack it. But you're gonna be VD free today. VD, we gonna be free from VD. And I'm gonna call it VD. You heard it here first, folks. VD, that's what I call it. It ain't the disease, but it's VD, validation dependency. So how do you know you got validation dependency? I already said one. When you going out here playing gigs and you know you're not getting paid and everybody else in the band being paid, but you doing it for free, not because you trying to get an opportunity, but because you long for people to tell you how cold you are. Or you can say, hey, I played this. That's validation dependency. It really is. If you show up to rehearsal, at your regular rehearsal, and you just lackluster, but the second you doing something for a quote unquote major artist and you see people come in and you just all amped up, you may have VD. You may have VD. If you post a video on social media and you literally sitting here watching your phone and refreshing every 2 seconds to see people commenting and liking on your new post that you made, you might have VD. You might have it. You definitely have it. If every time you get on social media, you need people to put you up on their favorite 5, 10 bass players or organists or keyboard players, when you don't see your name, you having a hissy fit, you might have VD. You might. If you go to every convention, you at AIM, you at GMWA, you at PAW, you at Cool JC, now you at the Baptist Convention, then you at the Holy Convocation, then you at Pilgrim, then you might have VD because you need to be seen in all these places and worshiped by other musicians. You might have VD. You might have it. Somebody type in VD. Oh, that's... Now, validation within itself is never bad. It's not. Some of us, that's why we play. We like validation. There's nothing wrong with validation. Anything that's done above and beyond could be a bad thing. Like people who drink. Drinking within itself, having a drink is not bad. But when you throwing them back and it's consistent, that's when it's a problem. That's what this means. Validation is not bad. It's not. But when you are dependent, you always need this dopamine hit. Every time you turn around, you need this dopamine hit. You're dependent on that. That's what dependency means, like a drug. You need this feeling because you can't go on. You doubt yourself as a musician. So how do you beat VD? How do you beat VD? I'm looking at your comments. How do you think you can beat VD? I'll leave it for somebody. Get moist when they get a little attention. That part of it. Speaking from a psychological perspective, that's the reason these type creators stage in the first place. It's the missing piece from childhood. And yeah, that's a host of reasons. Some is, low self-esteem. You need that to be built up. Some people doubt themselves as musicians. They need that constant reassuring. It does. I'm not talking about the stems from it. It comes from a lot of things. I was bullied a lot when I was a child, so I doubted myself in some things. When I learned how to play bass, I found the way not to, because I was in Indiana. It wasn't much validation anyway. I was probably 1 of 3 bass players playing in that area, right? So I took pleasure in my own growth. I didn't need validation. So when I wasn't getting it and when I don't get out, it doesn't bother me. And that's just me, because I found validation in my growth process. I found validation in me learning things that I didn't know last time. When I learn, even now, when I learn things, I'll be like, man, that's dope. I learned that. That's cool. I'm not dependent on the validation from anybody else. I didn't say if it happens, I'm not appreciative. I'm saying I don't depend on it. But that's just me. And this is coming from somebody that doubted myself majority of my young adulthood. But when it comes to bass playing, that's the one thing that I didn't doubt in my intellect, obviously. But those are totally different things. But my bass playing, I never doubted. I just knew if it was something I couldn't do, I would learn how to do it if I really wanted to do it. So I had no doubts in that. I didn't need the extra validation, but that's just me. There are some people that are dealing with some serious mental health issues. They really, really doubt themselves and they need that. But the problem with that is what happens when you're not getting it? What state does that put you in? That's the issue. Like you can have these issues that lead to VD, but what happens if you're not getting that validation that you so desperately seek? What happens then? Which is the reason why I say we need to have a mental health therapist on deck at almost every church in this country. Because a lot of us musicians, we do deal with a lot of things. We do. We deal with a lot of things mentally that people do not understand. And I don't really think some of them care. We deal with some real issues. Real issues. And I'm going to say this. I learned how to I didn't necessarily have VD because there wasn't nobody to give me VD. I didn't play to impress people. I played because I like to play. But the countless number of musicians that play for the validation that they didn't get from their parents, they didn't get from their friends, and I understand that. And you, like I said, you never know what people go through. I don't deal with validation issues, but to be transparent, I deal with other issues. Some things happened over the past weekend and it messed me up really, really bad. Really, really bad. Because it was like a combination of things. You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of times when you get to my state, it's not one thing that's going to knock me off my square. But when it combines, that's what knocks me off my square. I know some people were worried about my post when I said I wasn't okay. I wasn't. I heard some very terrible news. And that in combination with everything else that I have been dealing with put me in a bad mental space. So I wasn't okay. So I understand with the things that musicians do deal with. We do deal with mental health issues. I want to help us not be so dependent on validation because at the end of the day, some of that validation is about as false as somebody lying to you. It could be taken away from you. And validation from others can be taken away from you. It can be. And when you are dependent on that validation, Lord knows what state that's going to be in your mind once you're not getting that validation that you need, that you desperately need. So how do we fix it? I think a lot of us, we need to go to therapy. I wish I knew more therapists when I was coming up. I wish I did because I needed it then. We need it now. I think that's the first thing we need to do so we can address these issues that lead us to this point. Again, I'll say for the 40 millionth time, validation is not bad. But when you are needing of it, depending on it, want it every day, your wife sitting up here laying next to you and you looking up on Facebook to see if somebody like your post. It shouldn't be that way. That's crazy work. There ain't nothing gonna pull me away from that. Let me see your comments. Picking the corner for him right now. Oh, wait, what's happening? I ain't going to nobody's corner. But if the skill level is not worth validation, then they are chasing validation. Well, I mean, I believe that's a part of it, Keith. Sam, I believe that's part of it. Because you will continue to chase that. And yes, there are a lot of musicians seeking validation and they're being lied to. At what point now, having said that, do you physically tell a musician they're not good when they asking you, man, how you think I am? I don't know. How do you really be honest? Let's veer off. How do you tell a musician that they're not good? How do you tell a musician that they're not good? You see them young, you see them trying to learn, and they really look up to you, and you hear them and it's not up to par. How do you tell them they're not good? Like, I mean, I'm not talking about they got potential. I mean, they're just not good. And you can see those of us who've been in it a while, we know when there's potential. We know when you're going to be mid. We know when you're going to be super. And we know when you just going to be, hey, storefront church, $150 for 8 services kind of musician. How do we tell you? How do you go about telling them? That's a good question. That's one I always wrestle with. Fakos. I've doubted myself after watching folks in Chicago talk crap about other musicians, but tell them to their face or how dope they were, and then come up to me talking about how great I am. Nah, G, you lying. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more difficult for women, unfortunately, Janetta, because a lot of these dudes, you just don't know what their intentions are. Especially the dudes. On women is different, but other dudes, you just don't know what their intentions are. And I know it can be very, very difficult to, ascertain if they're being genuine or if they're just telling you to gaslight you to get you or whatever. I think it's important to get around musicians that you really, really trust, people that you really trust. Like, good and dang on well, I tell you, that, but you need to be around people that will tell you. But I think the thing is, for me, that may help you, I can see the growth in me. I know the stuff that I can play. I know what I can do. And like I said, the growth process could be your measuring stick about how good you really, really are by the stuff that you can play, not by the gigs that you can play. Because we've already said a lot of these people playing these major tours, some of them you be like, really? No, you gauge how you grow, your own growth process. The things that you are learning, how fast, like for bass players, how our dexterity is picking up and how clean our notes are and how many things we can do, not necessarily tricks, but how many songs we can play in the way that they should be played. Some songs are difficult. Can you master those songs? That's the growth process of it, where you don't necessarily need the validation. I can be my own validation because I couldn't play this song, Stevie Wonder song, really, really good. Now I'm playing it really, really good. I don't need you to tell me that I'm good because I learned how to play this song and I'm doing it well. You see what I'm saying? Now, somebody saying, man, you killing, thank you. That feels good, but you're not dependent on it. If they say you good, good. If they don't, then you still know you did the work. To be honest with you, I think that's what would work, Josie. I kind of created my own line by doing stuff in the street performing and also creating my own sound within the nuances of my instrument. That's how I fight VD. All right, VD. Somebody else fighting VD. Look at it, if I came. Looks like I came at the right time. No, you actually came at the end, pause. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. You're amazing, babe. I love you. Right back at you. Hey, don't get nothing started on my live. We ain't doing that. Everything begins and ends with nothing. Big facts. I'm just reading your comments right now. I tell they need to work for a few things. Okay, you tell them they need to work on a few things. You tell them, let me work with you. Yeah, you know what? That's great. That's actually not a bad idea, Josie, to tell them you work with them. That's what I usually do. Like I'm pretty, Josie, you know this. I'm pretty much a straight shooter. And I usually don't say nothing. If I think you bad, I just like, Fortunately, I ain't had to have that. Most of the time I'm surrounded by great musicians, but for the younger musicians, they be like, how you think I did? I would tell them I will work with you. I would tell them what they need to work on. But I first tell them what they did good. I tell them the parts that I enjoyed. And then I tell them what they need to work on. And then I finish up by saying, but you got potential. But if you don't got potential, I'm like, you got a lot of work to do, but I'm going to help you get there best way I can, especially for bass players. A lot of bass players that I'm learning, they don't struggle with, well, lately I've been getting that, but they don't struggle with chops. They struggle with how to play a song. Like listening to a song is just like foreign to them. They don't know where to go in the song. Like for real, like wait, this song is moving, but I want to do other things. I want to go here, but I don't know how to do it. So I pretty much try to help them along that path. Like, okay, well, where's it going? It's going to the 4. Okay, well, dance around the 4. Do some, some triads on the 4, or some minor stuff on the 4, or maybe just play some dominant stuff on the 4. A lot of them may know what that stuff is, but then I try to help them along in that way. But most of the time, yeah, lately I've been getting people talking about they want to learn chops. That's a whole nother life right there, to be honest with you. I asked them, are you sure you want to play bass? Yeah, that's always something. Jeremy says, I'm always trying to show things to work on. Hey, have you tried? That's great. Yeah, that's true. I love that idea. Have you tried? Have you tried Jesus? He's all right. Tell them and offer help. Most people don't tell them because they got to have somebody to talk about. Wow. They're going to rip you up regardless. When I was coming up, they ripped you up in front of your face. If you suck, they usually be like, you suck. You whack. I mean, whatever. I mean, and I don't think that that's very good for people's mental health, but that's just what we did. That's the bad part of the paying dues. That's the part that I'm against. I'm against you ripping somebody up because you feel like they not where you think they should be. I'm against that. I think you should be constantly giving them great advice. But that's what I had to live through. And I don't want that for the younger generation. I really don't. I really don't. Donnie Jackson says, depending on validation from others is no different than depending on someone else to feed you. If they can feed you, then they can starve you. Oh, that's bars. I had to learn the hard way. Whoa, that's bars, bro. If they can feed you, they can starve you. Hey, y'all need to listen to this comment and show this dude some love. This is right. He says, if you depended on people for validation, they are actually feeding you. But if they can feed you, they have the power to feed you. They have the power to starve you. That is good. That's very good. But we fighting VD over here. If y'all want that t-shirt, hit my inbox. I'll make one for you. Unless it's someone I'm close to, I wouldn't say anything if they didn't have potential, because what's the point? They will figure out sooner or later. And I think that's a problem though, Robin, because a lot of musicians don't know that. They don't know that they don't have the potential. They don't have the it. And that's the most difficult conversation to have, when somebody just ain't there. I've been lucky to avoid that. I haven't had to have that conversation with anybody. One bass player in particular that I knew had potential, when I first saw him, his name Ryan Miz Brown. When I first saw him in this little backyard church in Milwaukee, I knew he had potential. And I was happy to give him advice. It was the easiest thing in the world because he had all the potential in the world. If you run a search on Ryan Miz Brown on Instagram, you're going to see. I remember when he first started. Well, he was beginning. He was playing for a while, but I remember when he first started. And I had nothing to do with it. The dude was good even then, but he was learning. But that potential was always there. So, yeah, that was easy work. I just gave him pointers or whatever, or what to work on or whatever to do. I didn't really have to do much. Dude was already good. So thank God for those kind of people being blessed in my life. Abba Shandiasa. The same way you go about tell these ministries who can't minister, they wear out of a wet paper bag. Don't do no studying. Well, that's a whole nother thing. Because most of these people don't want to hear real word today anyway. They want to be, they want to be catered to by these watered down. Let me see what Janetta's saying. I suggest taking them lessons, trying to connect with somebody can help them. Right? That's good. Nah, you be giving me the stare of death when I slip up. He said the stare of death. Hey, no, actually, Josie do something. But, hey, I ain't going to hold you. You was killing yesterday, though, Josie. You was on it. You was on it. We had a little talk before, about your... yeah. But this dude was killing the horn. My uncle, you remind me of my uncle with your playing, Josie. I have an uncle that played jazz for years. And, the way he can come up with stuff playing horns, you remind me of him. So you great horn player. You're really, really good. I don't want you to ever stop playing horns. So regardless of how many stares I give you or whatever I may say as your leader, I honestly and openly saying you probably one of the greatest horn players I ever played with. Pause. So don't ever stop doing that, man. Just continue to do your thing, man. I'm really proud of your skill. yeah, yeah, we need to have a talk about that Trump stuff, but but anyway, but this dude Josie, y'all need to follow him. He can play for real. He's a trumpet player. If you need a trumpet player, you need to hit him up because he's really really good. I get them technical things to practice that will help them out over. Okay, I'm gonna read a couple of more and then I'm gonna share something with you. Then I'm gonna jump off. That's good. Don't crush the dreams. Right. Go calls that a compliment sandwich. Good thing. Yeah. My wife used to do work with these young people called go guitars over guns. I think that's what it was called. And she used to work with young people teaching them. Now I went a couple of times. I think I went once, and I heard the way they played, and I was like, man, she got a lot of patience. And she done telling the kids that they can't play. I'm literally sitting in the back like, all right, because you hear, for those of us who started on bass, we know that do 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 that real muffled, real bad tone. I was hearing it. It was kind of giving me the flux. But my wife, that's why she's better at teaching than I am, because I don't have the patience for it. Which brings me to this, and I'm gonna jump off of here. I've already started my series where I'm playing new G songs that I've recorded, my favorite ones, right? I got another one I'm gonna be posting in the next couple of days, so be looking out for that. But I'm going to start a series where I'm actually playing a song or telling you how I'm going about the song, what my thought process was when I recorded it. I'm going to go piece by piece of the song, and I'm going to show you how to play certain songs, whatever that I recorded or songs that you want me to play for gospel music, how I would go about doing it. I'm going to do a series on it. I'm going to try it out, but it's not going to be open. Okay, it's going to be some kind of subscription situation. Me and my wife, we're going to talk about it. We're going to work out the kinks. But I think that's the way I'm being led to teach you. That's the way I'm being led. I don't want to do the regular, oh, here's a lesson. I'm going to show you how to play these songs. I'm going to show you how I go about playing these songs. And I'm going to show you why, piece by piece. So say, for instance, it's a song that New G recorded that you really celebrate the King. You want to know my thought process. I'm actually going to show you piece by piece how I go about playing the songs. And I'm interested in hearing your approach to after I show you. So I'm thinking I want to build musicians. I want to build you. I didn't know, and I'm not boasting anything, but my wife actually put together this thing on YouTube with a lot of my songs that I've recorded. I did not know that I have that many songs that I've recorded. I mean, I recorded a lot of songs over my career, and I'm happy for the opportunity. I thank God for them. But it's no good if I can't share that with people who want to learn how to play and do these songs in that way. So I don't want to leave this earth, not leave that legacy for the upcoming musicians that will exist long after I'm gone. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll give you more information as we solidify what's going to happen. I was going to do the whole little lessons thing, and it will be that, but just in a different sense. I'm interested in building musicians that understand what they're playing, not just doing da 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 da. No, I want you to understand why and how it works, and why maybe what you're doing does not work in the particular songs. Now, why am I choosing New G songs? Because these are songs I record, I know them best. But also because a lot of the churches are still doing songs that we record. So it will help you on Sunday mornings when you're doing our songs. Okay? So I hope that works for you. Bass Concepts with D. Hearne. Yeah. Oh, you super late, Russell. But what else is new? Russell says I'm late. I said, what else is new, Russ? You always late. No, I'll just mess with you. No, but I'm about to jump on here. Jump off of here. I'm pretty sure she's about to start practicing herself. But I'm about to watch a movie, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. But be looking out for my whoa, somebody sent me an email. Oh. be looking out for my next cover. And man, oh, this cover is gonna be crazy, y'all, because I can't believe I came up with the music concept for this. But I'm gonna do this cover and I'm gonna knock it out for you. And hopefully you guys. Oh my God, that's not a pause. How's that a pause, bro? That's not a pause. But last week was something else, and I'm gonna go. I love the fact that you guys asked me a lot of questions about my career or whatever. I would love to do a Q&A, just one of my lives, just do a straight Q&A about gospel music, gospel bass playing, the profession, how the business. I want to do a live, and I'm pretty sure when we get to the business, the missus gonna jump on here because she knows the business like crazy. I promise you. Uh-oh, she said movie. Yeah. Okay, it's time to go. She calling me. I love you guys. I will be here next week. Let's have some fun for this week. Remember, everybody, again, I lost some people last week. It was a very difficult, and it's still difficult. I just did this live because I'm trying to, some people, we do things positive when we're dealing with things, but I lost some people this week. And man, I say it every week. Make sure you make amends with people. Make sure they get a chance to know that you do care about them, and I'm really, really trying that because we are in a here today, gone tomorrow situation now, y'all. Seriously, a here today, gone tomorrow. So if this should be my last time you see me, you at least know that I love you guys and I enjoy doing these shows for you. But have a good night, and I'll see you next week.